Welcome to the Mac and Chuck podcast with your hosts, Chuck Hill and Scott McKenzie.
Good evening. You know what?
Well, might help if you turn it on.
I know it helps. That does help. And I'm the one that reminded him or told him to remember to turn it on.
Mine's been on.
Yes, it has. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How you doing tonight? Welcome to the Mac and Chuck Show podcast, video podcast.
Last Sunday of February.
It is.
Tomorrow's
Really?
March 1st.
I know. Marching right along into the year.
Good night, everybody.
I'm here all week. Try the fish and tip your waitresses.
I thought it was the veal.
Nah,
Not a fan of veal?
I wouldn't try the veal.
You like baby cows, huh?
Yeah. So welcome to the show. How you doing tonight?
Warm. Warm down here.
It is warm. It's
Down in the bowels of
Granite City.
Yeah.
Down in the bowels of Granite City. How about you, DJ Whiteout? How you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking.
Hey.
I'm super. Thanks for asking. Never
I
mind.
got no music for that.
I know you don't.
Can you believe that? I've got no music for that. So, hey, we got a great show for you tonight. What's that the hot twin saying? We got a damn good show for you tonight.
Yeah.
Hey, imitation is the best form of flattery. Plus, Anyway, so tonight we've got Cat Boss, Trisha. She's going to be on tonight. We've got some interesting questions that she's going to be answering for us.
You're laughing already.
Oh, man, there's some doozy ones tonight, let me tell you. So just got a couple of things. Got Mick on tonight. Glad to see you on, Mick. So got a couple things that, we're just going to kind of talk about tonight. Tonight's topic does have the potential to be, I would say, controversial. Would you say controversial?
Fire!
Fire? It could be fire. I think that is the new term, right? Or is that just something really good?
I don't know what it is. I'm old.
Yeah, well, we're both old. So you may be 6 months behind me, but we're still at the age, men of a certain age. You just show.
That doesn't sound right. Men of a certain age.
You just show a little more than I do. That's all. So we're going to talk about some stuff
that means
tonight.
I'm more distinguished than you are.
There you go. The distinguished gentleman.
I like the sound of that.
You like having the cat boss there on your beard there? There you go. So we're going to talk with Trisha a little bit tonight. She's got some interesting stuff to tell us. And then we're going to hopefully have some people on here. DJ Whiteout, you want to throw the invitation up there in the comments so people can click into the show a little bit later on and chat. We always do want to encourage people to call in, check in with us, and be part of the show. You don't have to be on video if you don't want to. We can do just an audio. That's fine also. So we'd love to have you check us out. Check us out on Facebook if you are. Awesome. You can check us out on my personal page and also check us out
on the YouTubes.
On the YouTubes. And to get there, you're going to go to macandchuck.com. That's going to take you directly to our YouTube page.
Where's that again?
macandchuck.com.
.com.
I think we might get sued by Expedia for that one.
Well, see, we were fine until you said it.
Well, yeah, but it's really kind of
people
hard
don't know a lot of jingles these days.
Yeah, that's true. And speaking of Sue, we're going to speak a little bit about that tonight. We got a lot
Indians?
of stuff, huh? Indians.
Sue.
Oh. Good night, everybody.
Oh, your turn.
So we're going to talk a little bit tonight's show. If you caught the preview earlier this week, we're going to talk a little bit about personal rights versus civil rights versus when is it okay to give up your rights, or is it okay to give up your rights, and what actually constitutes like special rights. Tonight's show is actually supposed to meant to be a discussion and not a rip on any particular party system or anything like that.
Fight.
Yeah, I might punch you right square between the eyes. No, I wouldn't do that. Not on camera anyway, because then it becomes litigious.
You're liable for my injuries.
Yeah, and we wouldn't want that. So anyway, we're really hoping you guys will stick around till the end of the show. Check us out. Share it if you're watching right now and you think it might be something other people might be interested in engaging with. Please feel free to share the podcast that we're doing right now. And kind of on that note, let's talk a little bit about what's happened this week. Anything cool happened to you this week? Anything uncool happened to you this week? This makes for great video, let me tell you.
I know, that's what I'm doing. I'm emphasizing. You're emphasizing.
By the way, tonight's show was not brought to you by Powerade, as you see me drink.
Or Sam's Choice Diet Cola.
Or Sam's Choice Diet Cola. It's just our beverage of choice this evening.
Could really go for a beer.
I will say something interesting did happen to me.
Yeah, we didn't ask him, you rude.
Well, I was working my way
No,
around
you
there.
weren't. You're talking about what you're drinking.
So on Friday, I was working at Swing City at Collinsville.
Yeah.
And a little old lady crashed right into the building.
Did you say a little old lady or a little
old lady
Okay.
crashed straight into the side of the building. And it went directly into our lessons coordinator's office.
Really?
Holy
Yeah,
shnikes.
directly through her
So
office.
she was hauling.
Yeah,
Wow.
well, no, she wasn't in there, thank God. If she would have been in there, man, it
How-
would have been a different story.
No, the lady was in the car still, right?
Oh, yeah. The
Okay.
lady was fine. The lady
Okay,
walked
good.
out and she said, I don't know what happened. And then
It's this
That
long
was that.
slender pedal on the right that you.
Hold on. What did she say again?
she said, I don't know what happened.
We're all going to laugh at you.
So
yeah, it was.
everyone was okay?
Yeah, everyone was fine, but man, if
Her
there
insurance rates are going up.
Yeah, if she would have been sitting in that office, man, this would have been a different story. But
No
it
kidding.
was crazy, man. But it hit a load-bearing wall, so
Oh, wow.
they're looking at some serious damages. To the
No,
building
her
and stuff.
insurance company is looking at some serious damages.
Well, the owner's insurance is looking at some serious damages.
Well, it should be the
No,
owner's insurance.
Not at all.
Issue. That should be,
Should be
her
her auto
issue.
insurance's
Yeah.
issue.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
That's
So-
her liability.
Is Swing City still open for business?
Oh yeah, dude, we were selling guitars as the
Right in the middle of
in
it.
the office.
She come busting in the office like the Kool-Aid man.
Probably,
Yeah.
probably didn't even bat an eye, did you?
Uh,
Did you come through the...
no,
No, I bet you his butt puckered a little bit.
no, we were still selling stuff as the firemen were all checking out the walls and stuff.
Oh,
It was
wow.
so funny. It was so
Wow.
funny.
Pay no attention to the lady coming through the wall. Let's go back to talk.
Are the firemen any discounts or anything like that?
No, they weren't interested in any
What's up in
discounts,
front here?
unfortunately.
You turn into max headroom on the monitor.
It looks like it, huh? Probably just a little glitch. I'm looking over there, DJ Whiteout. Still
You're
looking good? Looking good?
No, he's not. He's
I'm
just
always
looking.
looking good.
Here we go.
I'm always
Why'd you have to
good.
open
Let me be
Pandora's
clear.
box?
Let me be clear. Your image is not distorted or anything on the screen.
Yeah.
Oh,
Your
okay.
overall looks.
So I look
as in
better
the
than
story.
normal.
You
then.
look.
I don't know. You
look
kind of
fine
look right
story.
here.
Yeah, I'm very pixelated. That's
You're
okay.
like 8-bit.
You know, I take if DJ Whiteout says I look normal, then I guess we'll look normal.
Normal is relative.
Mick is asking, how do I talk to you? Mick, there's a link right in the description and the comments. You'll click on that link, and you'll see that
We got a comedian here, folks.
Kim's being funny. Has the show started yet? No, not yet. We're just sitting here just kind of jabber-jawing right now. So, something on the news front this week, everyone's been curious and been asking about the new stimulus checks and the new stimulus package. I think it's called
You said package. That's my 12-year-old for the night.
is it America Rescue
I
Package or
don't
something
know what
like
they're
that?
calling it. They're calling it, what they should call it is piddlets for you, mega billions for the poorly run cities and states. But I digress.
Well, I know that there's some money built in for that and a little bit of bloatware or not
A little bit?
a little bit of bloat going on there, but it wouldn't be our government if there wasn't, some bloat going on in there. They've always got to,
Give them a pass.
they've always got to do that.
Give them a pass.
So, just for those of you who don't know what's going on, basically they're looking at a third stimulus package for Americans, and I think it's going to be, since they didn't get the $2,000 last round, they're trying to push through an additional $1,400.
Yeah, to make it the 2,000 they spoke of last time.
Right. And before this one's even passed, there's already discussion about a fourth stimulus check that they're going to be sending out.
Who's going to pay for that? Who's going to pay for this one?
Well, here's the thing. We're not going to pay for it. My son may not even pay for it. However, my granddaughter, she'll probably be paying for this. So,
35% tax rate for poor people.
we'll keep you guys in the loop.
I'll stop. I'll stop.
Just bringing you the news as we hear it, and as it comes through. Just know that there have been some questions about it, about what's going on with that. So tonight's show, we definitely encourage you guys to click on the link that DJ Whiteout put there. And then we encourage you to engage tonight also. Not get engaged unless that's your thing, but engaged, because we want to have a serious discussion here, because it's really a hot topic of what's going on. We're expecting Trisha to be on roughly, around 6:15 or so, and we'll talk with her. And like I said, she's got some really interesting questions that I received this
trying to see
week.
what time it was.
So yeah. So tell us how your week has been. Throw some comments up there in the.
Well, you asked me. You asked him. You didn't say what your week's been like.
Oh, my week has been okay.
Sure about that? Are
it's
you
been
fibbing
weird.
to me?
I'm not fibbing. There are just some things I don't care to talk about that
Okay.
might be seen by other individuals.
Fair enough.
So my week has been good. My week has been, I always look at it this way. If I wake up in the morning and I can see the sun or the dark, depending on what time I wake up, it's at least a good day starting off. So that's kind of the way I see it.
And wake up on the right side of the bed.
Mm-hmm.
Run to a wall. Well, that's the wrong side.
Wake up on the right side of the dirt anyway. That's my primary goal. See, I've kind of taken a cue from George Carlin. It's like, that's the whole secret to life, not dying. So, but, if it does happen, hey, thanks, Darren.
Oh,
Yours is a little thicker than mine.
That's what she said.
Well, here all week. Try the fish. I think I already used that,
You did.
didn't I? Okay, that's okay. I don't think that.
Try the
Darren,
roasted pork roast.
the roasted pork roast?
The roasted pork
Roasted pork roast. Gotcha.
Don't know what
Gotcha.
that is. Just sounded good.
So, yeah, we're we're hoping it's going to be a great show tonight. We're really hoping that you guys engage. Tell you what, if DJ Whiteout wants to roll some video footage for us, we're going to get Trisha
that beautiful
on here for us. So, DJ Whiteout, roll that footage. All right, great person. We got her on here right here. How you doing?
What's up, guys?
How are you?
We're doing great. How'd you like those questions I sent to you this week?
I'm in the dark here. I'm in the dark. I don't know what questions he's speaking of.
I am in the
I
dark
guess
as well.
I will find out.
So yeah, we're gonna talk a little bit.
He looks pained by your questions.
Oh, there's some real doozies. Let me tell you.
Okay then.
So Trisha comes on our show every third Sunday of the month. We're running just a week behind this time, but we're always happy to have her on here. We encourage you to get your questions into us if you can. If you have questions while she's
Apparently
on,
somebody
also. Yeah. And if you guys have questions while we're on here, please, by all means, make sure that you shoot them up there. We'd love to, see if we can catch her off her guard, because she really knows her stuff when it comes to guys. So, Trisha, how was your week this week?
Hey, it was okay. It
Uh-oh.
was pretty good, but I have some bad news.
Oh, no.
I have to have a funeral for my Cat Boss TV apron.
Oh,
It's my favorite apron.
and
Anyway,
it's seen better days, huh?
I don't know if you can see this, but my dog Medley got
We can,
in my
yeah.
spare bedroom and ripped it up.
Oh, no.
And you know what? I'll pay big bucks for this apron. So if anyone has an anthropology apron that looks just like this, they want to send to me, I will pay you for it.
Hey, there you go. Trisha is looking for an anthropology apron. So if you can help a sister out, let us know.
She'll pay you.
She'll pay you. Hey,
I'm
There you
so
go.
Money is
sad.
good.
You guys, I wear this in every video, and now
You will no longer be wearing it in every video.
it's
I
an
know.
opportunity for new beginnings, right?
I don't even know if you can see this, but it's like not redeemable at all. Anyway,
And see, I've got
Let's see
shirts
better.
that I've had for like 20 years.
Those are non-redeemable either.
They are non-redeemable. So,
How was you guys'
Trisha,
week?
let's
How was your
let's kind of get to the.
Eh,
It was okay.
fair to Midland.
Yeah, fair to middling. Typical week, I guess. You know, you wake up on the right side of the dirt. I guess you're doing all right. You
That's the
know.
second time you said that in 5 minutes. Should we all be concerned?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah.
So, Trish, what'd you think of our questions that we had this week for you?
Hey, you know what? They're real issues that, you know, need to be addressed. You know, they're
So it just goes to show that owning a pet is not always glamorous, right?
Uh-oh.
right,
Mark.
exactly. Sometimes I'm wondering,
Colorful questions.
what am I doing? What'd you
So
say?
Trish, two things I just kind of want to get to real quick is, you know, again, our sympathies, you know, about your recent loss with your puppy dog. You know, we're very sorry to hear about that. You know, that's always rough. So our thoughts and condolences and prayers go out to you on that.
Thank
And,
you.
you know, also something, you're welcome. Something I would like to do is just for those who may be catching you for the first time, can you just kind of give a little bit of an update of what you do both with Cat Boss and with Got Potential, just so, you know, some of our newer viewers might know why we enjoy having you on the show so much.
Sure, absolutely. So, just to give you guys kind of a background, that those of you that are jumping on here that are new, I have an animal talent agency based in St. Louis, Missouri, and it's called Got Potential Animal Talent. And we hire animals for commercial work, print ads, and we work for all the major brands in the pet food industry, but all types of brands like Joann's Fabric and Amazon, and you know, different products and stuff like that we promote. Pretty much any pet that you see on a product, that's something that we are doing. And we travel all over the country. We work mostly in St. Louis, but we do travel all over the country for work. And so we basically make pet stars. That's what we do. So any kind of packaging that you guys see at the pet store or at Walmart or any store, that's what we're doing mostly. So we turn average pets into pet stars.
All right.
So that's Got Potential. And then
Superstars.
Cat Boss TV is a channel that we've created and dedicated to the cat owner specifically. And there are cats are actually the most popular pet in America. And so what we set out to do is kind of change the dynamic of that, you know, that stigma that cats can't be trained. And so really just kind of changing people's minds about what's possible with cats. And on our channel on Instagram and on Facebook, we share a lot of fun tricks and things that you can do with your cat at home. And everything is certainly possible. So you guys saw that video in the intro. That was a cat we call Superman. And Superman is truly, you know, he lives up to his name. He's kind of like Clark Kent out in public because he's a little bit shy, but at home he's totally Superman. So anyway, we just want to share with the public that anything that you see us doing on Instagram or anything that you can think of or dream of, you can definitely do with your cat at home. And so we're here to help cat owners learn how to meal feed their cat so that they can build a better bond, teach you how to crate train your cat, teach you how to prepare them for emergencies at home, come when they're called, and do fun tricks like high five. So that's kind of what we set out to do, is change the dynamic of what and how people see cats for the better. So, and if we change what we do to better them, then other people will follow too. So that's kind of
Awesome.
what our mission is at Cat Boss TV.
Awesome. Now I did notice on your and DJ Whiteout, if we can, it's catboss.tv for Instagram, correct, Trisha?
Yeah, you're right.
Okay, if you want to throw that up there for folks who might want to give her a follow, I strongly encourage you to follow her, because one thing you hit on I did notice while I was watching your YouTube channel was the pet emergency preparation, because that can be so important, you know, for not just cats, but our dogs and other pets and things like that, to teach them to go to a specific spot during an emergency. And you do clicker training, which, you know, obviously, you know, works very well with our pets.
That's right.
So thank you for sharing that background. So our listeners and viewers can get a great idea of what you're doing. Now, some of the questions that we had this week, so let's start out with the first one. So, something that people want to know is why does my cat need to be in the bathroom with me when I go to the bathroom? Like, why are they these bathroom invaders?
Is that your question?
That was actually not my question.
Okay.
You'll know my question when you hear it.
Okay. I think I have an idea what yours might be.
Listen, I think it's something that we all kind of struggle with, but here's my opinion on why cats like the bathroom. Because cats are selfish and they like a captive audience. And so when you're trapped,
hey, when you're on the toilet,
hey,
the door
right.
shut, you're not really going very far, are you?
Big me.
Right. They see us as trapped in the bathroom, and finally we're all theirs. And so they like a captive audience, and we're stuck. So it's probably truly the most time that in the day where you are not doing other things, you're not rushing around, you're not, unless you're getting ready in the bathroom and they're following you and jumping on your back while you're trying to put makeup on like they do for me. The struggle is real. I will just say that. But also the reason why my cats like the bathroom too, they like the cool floor. They like cool temperatures on the tile. And some of my cats are obsessed with water, so they'll actually like lick my legs when I get out of the bathtub, or lick the shower curtain, or just they like the water for some reason. So generally, like, I think that cats just like to have a place. And also I feel like sometimes people put their litter pans in the bathroom. That's kind of a common place. So the cats, that's sort of their territory too. So I feel like they're just kind of like hanging out in their territory, just like you are. And that's kind of your private place. And, but truly, I think it's more about the captive audience.
Well, I would buy into that myself 100% about the, I got you where I want you and you're going nowhere. So you want to ask that other one?
No, sure don't. I figured that was yours.
Yeah, the third one is mine.
Yeah, I figured that.
So thank you for the answer. And one of the second questions that we received,
which I'm not asking
this week, is why does my cat only poop when I'm around the litter box? So, someone that I know said the only time that their cat typically uses a litter box is if they're down there with them. Now,
yeah.
I know that
is it
dogs.
the only cat?
It is the only cat, yes.
See, that's strange because if I was gonna say if there was another cat in the household that they feel like they're being protected, like other cats guard resources and things like that. So some other cats will bully other cats from using the litter pan, and they'll wait for like mom or dad to like be in that area so they can go to the bathroom safely. So that's kind of like what I would say about that. Otherwise, it's, I guess it's maybe more of a servant type thing because they know they're going to clean it up if they see it go right in front of them.
That's fair. That's fair too.
So, I've heard that dogs, like when your dog goes outside and they're doing their business, sometimes
it's a pack mentality. They want to make sure while they're vulnerable that you're watching. That's an actual that's an actual pack mentality.
Yeah, and that's what I had heard about dogs. So I thought maybe it kind of might be the same thing, but cats and dogs are different creatures completely.
Yeah, who knows? It's it could be a territory thing too. Like, hey, this is my area. Watch me go to the bathroom. I'm gonna claim it.
Now,
I don't know. That's kind of a funny one.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but cats will mark their territories also, right? Like, would that be maybe some of what's going on there?
That's right. And that's what I'm saying with the territory issue. They kind of claim their space. And, it could be that it might happen with just that person, or it could happen with anybody. But typically, like, sometimes cats will even choose to go to the bathroom on your clothes, and that's claiming a territory type thing as well. So
Okay.
you know, there's definitely interesting things that they do that are specific to cats that no one can kind of wrap their head around. So we just do our best to understand.
Now, I'm not sure if you've seen Men in Black and if you've seen Captain Marvel, but both movies have very interesting takes on cats. You know, so I mean, just in the Captain Marvel, where I think they call the cats flurgans or something like that, where they're like
Swedish
these.
chef.
But it's very interesting. If those of you watching have not seen Captain Marvel, check it out. If anything, especially if you're a cat lover, it's really interesting the way that they portray cats. Because I know people talk sometimes that cats are like aliens from another planet and they're here for world domination or whatever.
Okay.
But it's an interesting take on that. So the last question I have for you, Trish,
is yours.
Is mine. Yeah, it's kind of my question. And so we have a cat here in the house. She's an older cat. And so sometimes I try really hard to understand Baby Kitty is her name. I try to understand Baby Kitty's behavior, right? Baby Kitty will wake up and she will forgive this for all listening right now. When she's walking around, it's like, I mean, it sounds like someone murdering Baby Kitty. I mean,
Sorry, how did that sound?
You can listen to it on playback. But she's kind of an older cat, and I'm just, my question to that is what is like?
Oh, wait! You're missing the context. There's no one around really. Whenever she does it, she's in the dark or she's in a different part of the house where there isn't a lot of activity.
Sometimes,
okay,
a lot. Yes, that's true. Sometimes, a lot of times though, she's actually in my area, and she'll come up and she'll put her head against my hand, wanting to be pet. And my question is, Mick is saying here, it's like, is the cat pissed? I mean, is
I think I'm out.
Is Baby Kitty?
Can you still hear me?
Yeah, you can still hear me.
Okay.
The question is it just that she needs attention, or what would your take be on that?
Yeah. So, first I would ask, is she a Siamese mix?
That I don't know.
She looks like it.
Does she?
I think so. Yeah.
Is she like two-tone
like yellow.
color, like a darker head and a lighter body?
She's tortoiseshell. Tortoiseshell.
Yeah, she's not tabby or anything
No.
like that.
She got the calico tortoiseshell markings.
So I don't know that she's Siamese mix or not.
Okay, so some breeds are definitely more vocal than others, and Siamese and Oriental breeds are definitely one of those that are typically more vocal. But if she's an older cat, that's actually quite common, because just like people, when we are when we're aging, or you have a senior citizen, they people change. So cats change just like people do with age. And so sometimes vocalization could be an attention getter. Sometimes it could be pain or discomfort. But a lot of the times it could be like a feline dementia type related condition. And a lot of times it does happen in the dark, because they experience disorientation due to sensory decline, and so sometimes they can't see at night like they used to, because cats have very good night vision. But when they develop cataracts and they can't they just have sensory decline, they get disoriented, especially if they wake up from a nap and they're kind of wondering where all their people are, or they maybe forget how to get back to a certain part of the house. That's why they go to they're yowling because they need help kind of finding where they are.
Gotcha.
If that makes sense. Sometimes it could be even like an anxiety issue. What'd you say? I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, I mean, all that makes sense. I mean, I'm getting older, and I said that makes sense. And I know that as I get older, I become grouchy and disoriented also.
Become? become. How about are?
Look here.
See, I rest my case, Your Honor.
We'll take this offline later on.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Trisha, do you have any like special, tidbits of information for us this week, or anything that, are there any events that you're, going to be having soon, or being a part of, or anything big coming up for you?
Not really any events or anything, but we're working on some really exciting projects for Cat Boss TV, and we put together about 76 videos for people on cat training, and how basically it breaks down on how to teach each trick for that you want to teach your cat, anywhere from basics all the way up to something really athletic and fun that like you saw Superman doing. So right now we are putting those together, and we're building a special platform to deliver that to people. And so, but really, I think, the most important thing that we're working on too is not just the tricks, because those are fun to do, but it's the basics. It always boils down to the basics. And, what does that mean? Like meal feeding, sit, calm down, respond to your name, and all of those things. And then, of course, the crate training and the kettling.
So outside the door doing it now.
And all the, basically, because everything starts at the basics, and so that's kind of where we want to start with people, and make that, something easy to work on, something, and then work up towards the tricks and things like that. So hopefully by the summer, we're going to be rolling that out. So
Gotcha.
We're excited about that, and it's truly going to be so much fun, and really just kind of life-changing for cats and owners. And there's nothing else like it. So that's kind of what we're excited about, and that's what we can't wait to launch it. And hey, we'll launch it with you guys first. Okay, we'll give you guys the first go.
Hey, awesome. Awesome. Appreciate that. And it's really cool that you guys are doing this, because when you can interact with your cat, on a more personal level, it makes cat ownership more enjoyable for everybody also, including the cat, because you've mentioned before when you spoke about meal feeding and being able to coax your cat to come out and just kind of interact more with the family. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
So, and being part of the show,
Always.
it's always a pleasure having you on. And if you guys are interested in following her, check her out at catboss.tv on Instagram. You can YouTube Cat Boss TV, and it'll pop up a lot of really cool videos that are out there that they put a lot of hard work in and put together. And owning a cat can be a whole lot of fun. It can be very rewarding for the whole family, especially if you're struggling. I encourage you to reach out, and just get some tips, get some, just watch the videos. And Trisha, can they contact you directly through that also for like, private trainings and things like that if they need it?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. You can go to catbosstv.com and just shoot us an email from there. So that's the easiest way to do it.
Perfect.
Great. Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you being on tonight.
Hey, I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. It's always so much fun.
Yep.
I'll hang out for questions too.
Welcome.
Have a great week.
Okay, cool. Thanks, you too.
Okay, great.
Bye.
Awesome. Yep. If you guys have questions, pop them in there, and Trisha will be sure to shoot some answers for you. So awesome. Mick says, well, duh, feed your cat. Well, I think that's a given for sure. And then don't eat your cat. That's probably great advice, unless you're Alf. Yeah, no, don't go there. Don't go there.
I'm good.
So, we always do appreciate it. And Trisha, I'm not sure if you saw it or not, but Danny says that baby kitty's a calico. So, maybe that, gives you some more information about, some more insight rather. So we're going to talk now a little bit. We're going to get kind of down to the meat and potatoes of our show tonight. And
Just leave out the carrots, okay?
So, yeah, no carrots. Matt can't have any cooked carrots.
Nope.
I used to be the same way, but it is what it is. Food's food these days.
Spew chunky.
Spew chunky. Yeah, spew in this. That hole's a little small for me to be speaking.
Whoa, hey.
So, one of the things we want to talk about tonight, we had told you guys, Mick, if you want to be on the show, there's a link at the top that we have posted up there. DJ White out here in just a few minutes. If you want to post that link again, that would be great.
I don't wear the Schoolhouse Rock t-shirt.
He did wear the Schoolhouse Rock t-shirt. So we're going to talk a little bit tonight because over the last couple of years,
No, Lisa, we don't. Because it's made up and it's Danny, so we're not sharing his made up name.
And there's nothing scientific about what Danny comes up with.
No. And he comes up with like 14 different variations of it. It's quite creative, actually.
It is. He is a creative young man. He's not
Young
a young
man.
man anymore.
You're getting your rear end kicked when you get upstairs.
So, one of the things we want to talk about tonight, and I'm going to take just a few minutes to...
You're going to throw a disclaimer up here?
Well, I'm just going to say that tonight's show has potential to get a little controversial.
Heated?
A little heated. Some of the things Mac and I agree on, some of the things we don't. We definitely want your opinion on there. If you're wanting an opportunity
or if you just want to see us go at it, that's what the comments are for.
Or if you just want to be heard. That's the biggest thing right there. We've always been a proponent of people being heard. But what we're going to talk about has to do with what your civil rights are, what civil rights versus special rights are, what personal rights. Should we give up our personal rights for the rights of other people? Should we, just how would you define rights in general? And we have a constitution that we follow here in the United States. And we have sometimes, yes. And then we have our Declaration of Independence, which grants us inalienable rights. So something I'm going to read here real quick is I'm just going to read you the first couple paragraphs of the Declaration of Independence. No, not the Pledge of Allegiance. The Declaration.
It's just as beautiful.
And it actually is.
Are you going to sing it? No, that's the preamble.
That's the preamble.
The preamble.
Yeah. So and we may go through that also. I mean, it's really important. I think just to kind of know what your rights are. And
where do we throw given rights into that?
Acknowledges God.
Judeo-Christian values.
Right, Judeo-Christian values. Now, not everyone who wrote this was a Christian.
They were deists.
They were theists. They believed in a creator.
No, deists.
Okay. Well, they believed in a creator, which is actually stated in the Declaration of Independence. Mm-hmm. And so, first thing we'll start off with is, the preamble to our Constitution. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America.
Sorry, I'm singing the preamble from Schoolhouse Rock.
Well, you did wear the right shirt.
I did.
So one of the things that we have to take a look at here is this is our government. It's not a past document. It is a current document that that we live by, or we're supposed to live by, and that we're supposed to be governed by. A lot of that changes from day to day. So we want to talk a little bit about it. Does change generationally.
It's really been diluted, in my view, from generation to generation, where they want to treat it as a fluid document.
They call it a living, breathing document, is what they call it.
Instead of the foundation.
Right. It's a set guideline for our government.
And to me, it's pretty clear.
So, I mean, it's definitely, something that, our forefathers, I think, were geniuses, to be honest with you.
Because to have that much foresight?
Yes, because the entire reason that they wrote this and drafted this particular way, this particular verbiage, is for 220 years, 250 years, almost into the future. 5 more years will be 250 years.
What, the Constitution or the birth of the country?
Well, 1776. That's the Declaration of Independence.
Okay.
Yeah. So the birth of our country.
245 right now.
Yeah. I mean, it's it applies today just as much as it does on any other day. So, something else that, do you have anything you'd like to add to that before I go into the next part?
Add to what?
To our preamble, or just maybe kind of your take on it or thoughts on it?
The actual preamble?
Right.
I think it's pretty self-explanatory myself.
Yeah. So let's break it down just a little bit, and we look at, we the people of the United States. That's us. That's everybody. I don't care what color you are. I don't care what race you are. I don't care what religion
If you
are.
live here,
And so form a more perfect union. So that means that we're to be together. At this point, the 13 states, colonies, however they refer to themselves, they refer to themselves as states in the Declaration. We got a problem? Okay, cool. So to form a more perfect union being one, and we are definitely not a one country right now. We're a divided country, and actually more than that, because divided gives the impression that, Nancy, you're right. It doesn't matter what gender you are. And it really doesn't matter what gender you identify with either. As an American, you have the right to live your life the way that you want to live your life, as long as it does not impede upon the rights of another human being. And that's really kind of the crux of what we're going to be getting at today. And the show may run a little long. So, again, please bear with us, because it's something we definitely want to, first of all, discuss. Second, we want to hear your opinion. And third, if you have some way to educate us on something that we're saying, due to our own ignorance. I mean, let's be honest, we're both middle-aged white guys sitting here on a podcast talking about what we know, what we've been taught, and what we think.
What's that got to do with anything?
Huh?
What's that got to do with anything?
Our upbringing and our opinions have all been influenced by our environment, I feel. We may have a different opinion of someone else, and I, for one, want to know someone else's opinion. I want to know how they feel about something, and I want to know why they feel the way that they do, or why they, identify the way they do, or why they interpret the Constitution the way that they do. I think that that's a fair calling for us to put out there. To go in, we're going to, establish justice. Justice is decided by our Supreme Court. They're the legal part of it. They're the ones who interpret and enforce the laws of the Constitution. Provide for common defense, talking about military there. General welfare and security of the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America.
I think that's a key word right there, ordain.
Okay. I think another key word there is for. It doesn't say of the United States of America. It says for the United States of America, which identifies us as a people. Not just a country, but identifies us as a people and a country that's called to be unified and within unity of each other. And we're all going to have our differences of opinion. That's inevitable. But I think one of the things to look at here is, where it says blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. That's talking about our kids, our generations to come. When they wrote this for us, because we weren't around at that point. They wrote this to protect everybody's rights, not just then, and regardless of if it was a different time at that point, didn't matter. Rights are rights. And even as things transition technologically, I don't think that makes a difference as far as when you're talking about your certain and inalienable rights.
Well, let's get into the specifics on what rights mean to the words there as opposed to now.
Okay, well,
because there's been a lot of, well, this is my right. Well, no, not really. It's not. You may think it is, but just because you think it is doesn't make it so.
Right. So give me an example of what you might be thinking there.
Healthcare.
Okay.
To me, it's not a right. It's nowhere in there.
Okay,
Unless you talk about the general welfare.
There you go.
That's general. You can go to a doctor whenever you want. You don't need health insurance to do that.
So what about the people that can't afford to go to the doctor because they've lost their job and
They have
they've
clinics.
lost their health care?
There's a way for them to get care.
You ever been to a clinic? It can take forever.
Do they offer care, though?
They do offer care.
Okay.
They do offer care. So
But the main point is to say it's a right. I have a right to the law.
Right.
I have a right to live. I have a right to my own personal liberty, which is to me means privacy and my freedom to go wherever I wish.
Within the confines of the country.
Absolutely. And pursue the happiness. I can pursue any venture that makes me happy. Now, granted, all this is within the scope of the law and what is considered legal. But again, considered legal then may not be considered legal now.
Right. Well, there were definitely a lot of injustices back then.
And I'm not saying there wasn't.
That. So definitely the laws have changed. And I think that our
laws change to reflect the times.
I think our laws are actually changing to endorse people's rights more than they are to take them away. So, DJ, why don't you have any thoughts on this?
Step into the fire, young man.
I don't know. I've never really been in a position where I've had to go to a clinic or anything like that,
Right.
and I've only really had to go to serious hospital visits for a couple times in my life. So I feel like I can't really put too much thought into it. You know what I mean?
What are your thoughts on healthcare rights? Do you feel it's a right, or do you just feel it's a privilege? Or
I wouldn't even call it a privilege.
I think I kind of agree with Scott. I think that we shouldn't be giving it out, for just for whatever. But I feel like it shouldn't be so enormously expensive as it usually is with stuff like that. And I feel like if maybe we just had less of a private network of hospitals and more, if it was more government subsidized and stuff like that, then it'd be a little bit more equal, I guess you could say, for everybody.
That's not entirely true, and I'll tell you why.
from a socialistic point of view, then, for government healthcare for all?
No, I think people should pay for, I mean, nothing's free. You know what I mean? It's gonna get paid for somewhere. I think that I guess to whittle it all down, I guess I would say that I don't think it should be free, but I think it should get a lot less expensive than what it is right now.
Okay.
Health insurance per se, when it first came about in the early part of the 20th century, was set aside for, just as insurance does. You pay me a certain amount of money, I'll indemnify you for the loss, or in this case, the doctor's visit or what have you. Over the years, due to research and development, the price of, things, the medicines, the equipment that has been created since that point, did not start jumping the price of hospitals, all this stuff, until there was so much fraud involved. Once you get a government involved, there's going to be some sort of fraud. I guarantee you that. Or let me back up.
Even corporations.
I was going to say, let me back up and say not just government, but any type of corporate interest, any type of basically, if there was a way to delete the fraud, to actually use the money that these insurance companies make for the research and development, if there's some way to tie all that in together, you wouldn't be looking at the prices that you look at now. I mean, look at what, the late 1800s. Every town would have a doctor, and they would take payment in whatever form they,
chickens. They may
right,
take chickens,
food, or what happened between that point and now? Technology happened. There comes a price with technology, especially with computer parts now and everything else.
Right.
Imaging, things like that. Now,
Research, development.
Has it gotten better? Absolutely, it's gotten better. But at what cost? Like I said, you throw in the $1 billion worth of fraud every year. Where's that money going? Nobody knows.
Right. Well, I mean, it's probably lining pockets. I mean,
it's lining pockets.
If I'm going to take an educated guess,
that's why
I'm
I said nobody knows.
Yeah. Well, people know. Some people know. DJ, if you throw Nancy's comment back up there, I'd just like for it to be up there a little bit longer. Nancy says not necessarily everyone's rights, as in the case of abortion. I have a feeling you could spend more than one show on that. And Nancy, you're right. That's
a whole other within itself.
Show, and you know, at some point we may take a look at that. You know, we may look at that. You know, the healthcare rights. So I'm going to kind of go through this because I want to kind of define what rights are, and based on the Declaration of Independence, just kind of, you know, what are your rights? What are our rights? And you know, why did we break away from England? And you know, why did we have the Boston Tea Party and things like that years ago? So bear with us. I'll get through this as fast as I can. But you know, on July 4th, 1776, the U.S. Congress drafted the Declaration of Independence, and I think that these first two paragraphs are the most important ones here, and that's.
Go ahead. It's become story time with Chuck.
Oh, it has. So, you know, the unanimous declaration of the 13 United States of America, when in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. Now, there's going to be some interesting stuff coming up in the second paragraph also.
Pay attention, true believers.
It says, we hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal, and we're going to not skip over the slavery times at that point. That we'll talk about that either tonight or on some other show, but you know, just know that we're not glossing over that. That is at the forefront of our minds. That all men are created equal, and that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights with a capital R, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. To secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive to these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect safety and happiness, should not be changed. Lost my place here. Should not be changed for light and transient causes, and accordingly, all experience hath shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. The history of the present King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having in direct object an establishment of an absolute tyranny over these states. To prove this, let facts be submitted to a candid world.
Are you done?
I'm done.
Oh, okay. You said 2 paragraphs, not a novel.
Hey, you know what? They wrote long paragraphs.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's fine. So what do you glean from that?
So my gleaning from this is that, first of all, you know, I mean, there's a lot of people talk nowadays about how, you know, government is what government is. And what I'm going to use, and while I don't condone the attack on the Capitol that occurred, what was it, January 6th? You know, I don't condone the attack on that because there was no end game to that. And, you know, but I think that when you speak about the Declaration of Independence and you speak about the Constitution, when you're being ruled by a tyrannical government,
A ruling class, essentially.
yes, right. And if you think about it, a lot of the politicians these days have been in power for far too long.
Decades.
Yes, far, far, far too long, where they're no longer in it for the interest of the country. They're in it for the interest of the next election.
Well, their interest for themselves. I mean, when you look at people that make $170,000 a year that come out of office after decades, multimillionaires, where does that money come from?
Right.
It tells you right there they're not in for it to serve the people. That's why the early people who served in Congress, presidents, they served for their time and went back into the private sector.
Yeah, they became farmers again,
right?
Or they became, maybe
it was never meant to be a career.
Right.
You were supposed to go do your public service as long as you got elected,
right?
And then go back to what you did beforehand.
Right, and let someone else have an opportunity to bring, the people's will and what the people want back to what it was meant to be, and a country governed by the people. I think one of the biggest problems that we have right now, and this is kind of where I'll get to the rights aspect of it, is we all have rights as ordained by our Constitution. Even local constitutions and local governments, we have the right to life. We have the right to the pursuit of happiness. And it's just
is it becoming more of a your rights are what we say they are?
Well, it's becoming more of that, or it's actually kind of becoming more of our rights trump your rights. And so my question that I would pose to the viewers, whether you're watching now live on Facebook or YouTube, is when does your right go away and someone else's special interest right come up, or when does their special interest right supersede your right?
Right. So essentially it's a when does my right and what you think your right is, who wins in that case? It can't be well, I am because I'm right. No, I am because I'm right.
Right.
At what point do you logistically have to look at it and say, well, this is what the Constitution says. This is what the laws say. I don't care what your feelings are. The law doesn't care about your feelings, essentially. Which is
a good thing, because when you run off of feelings, then you're really running off of emotion. You're not using logic or anything. Right. You're running off of your feelings. And let's be honest, you'll be pissed off one day and perfectly fine the next. And which is why I always encourage people, especially when it comes to writing an email or something like that, take a minute, write the email, read the email,
hit minimize, and walk away.
Right. So it kind of becomes it becomes a matter of, honestly, lately it seems like who is screaming the loudest. Okay, and so let's talk about.
Well, in my case, if you start screaming and don't make sense, I'm going to end the conversation regardless.
Right. Well, typically I will walk away. Someone who's going to scream and holler that I'm wrong and they're right, that's not a conversation.
And they don't want to engage in a conversation. They just want to shout over you to where you can't speak your piece.
Right. And being louder doesn't make you right.
Baseball bat beside the cranium.
So one of the questions, and let's just take a situation, for instance, and this has been kind of a hot topic. Nancy says, but the Constitution was written by men. Think about the role of the women was back then.
Fair point.
That's a very fair point. And again, to my point earlier, I think that we are getting to a point where the rights of minorities, and women were considered a minority at that time, are being heard and are being addressed and are being listened to and enacted upon. Something I want to just kind of take in as an example is when you talk about rights. Let's talk about a right to privacy, for an instance. Okay, everyone, first of all, do you feel you have a right to privacy? I feel that I do. I feel that the Constitution grants me a certain right to privacy, but let's take into consideration two things. One, the Patriot Act. Let's look at the Patriot Act. Okay, Patriot Act allows the government access to certain information that they previously were not allowed access to, but it's for the good of the country. Okay, so the question then becomes: do we violate some privacy laws for the good of the country, or do we respect those privacy laws? And some people will say, well, it's really just a matter of, you seem to have something to say about that.
Go ahead and finish your thought.
So my thought is, some people think that when it comes to domestic terrorism or terrorism across the country, that as patriots, we should willingly give up those rights to privacy. So, there are a lot of different things you have to do to enact FISA warrants and things like that. But as we've seen in the past, some of that has been bypassed. But, when we look at that, is that a right that you're willing to give up for your safety?
Not for a second.
So you feel that tell you what, why don't you expound on that a little bit for us? And tell us why you feel that way.
My civil liberties are more important. There's other ways to do it. You don't need wiretaps. Why should you have to wiretap a phone call that I'm making to make sure what I'm talking about is none of your business.
Okay.
It's not. I don't care if it's in the interest of national security or not. You have no right to collect my personal phone calls, my personal correspondence with whomever for the sake, send your CIA agents over, send your, wiretap their phones. You can do that. You can break into their, what did they do in the past before technology?
Well, that's just it. Technology has changed, much like, we're
Answer the
talking.
question. What did they do before the technology came about? They infiltrated these groups.
Right.
Specifically made to crack down on people they disagree with. I truly believe that. Now, whether your means are, I don't like this government and here's why, as long as you say that, it doesn't matter.
Okay. So DJ White, what are your thoughts on that?
I think that as soon as we give them the okay to be able to go into our personal information like that, in the name of protection from even whatever, it's not going to stop there. As soon as you open that door, I think it's a whole new ball game when it comes to that stuff.
So you think if the doors crack just a little bit, that the government could come in and
they're going to bust
kick
it
it
down.
open?
They're going to bust it down.
Exactly. Yeah, anytime you're dealing with and this kind of goes back to what we were talking about with the house and everything. Anytime you give lawmakers and people in really big positions of power that slot and they don't have a term limit whatsoever, that's you're cruising for a bruise already. You know what I mean? Because that opens the door for people to immediately start making connections and stuff like that. And I think that's just a huge thing that is kind of wrong with our system. And I think I agree with Scott. We are in Granite City, Illinois, and we don't have any connections to any kind of domestic terrorist groups or anything like that. And there's just no reason for them to even need to mess with anybody like that by listening in on our phone calls whenever we've done nothing to show that we could even potentially be a threat. You know what I mean?
So what if someone has said to you, though, or not said to you, someone has noticed suspicious activity within a couple houses, and then the government's like, okay, well, we've got people in here, we've got reason to believe that this may be occurring, that there may be a threat, an actual threat.
Now, is this with wiretaps or without? Are you talking about infiltration by people or by what they've heard through telephone calls?
I'm talking about
Physical.
I'm talking about physical. You have noticed that I've had, vans and stuff coming out, coming to my house or whatever. Or maybe you noticed I went and bought, 150 bags of fertilizer. Okay, so you're like, wow, that guy's a little off.
I'd be calling Granite Police. But nowhere in
But it grows from there, though. That's the point. It grows from there. You call Granite Police. Do you think that the Granite City Police Department is really equipped to handle a terrorist cell?
No, that's when they call in whomever they need to call into, but it was not done by gaining personal information. It was an anonymous tip or a tip from physical viewpoint from a citizen.
Right.
It had nothing to do with government. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Right, and in making your point, you're kind of making my point, because it goes uphill from there, where at some point it gets to the FBI, the CIA.
Right, but it's not done by monitoring your citizens' conversations.
but it does from that point. The CIA can order. I mean, J. Edgar Hoover ordered wiretaps.
Right.
I mean,
I'm not saying that's right.
Yeah, they've been ordering wiretaps and things, and maybe they don't find something. Maybe they do find something. But let's say that there's something in there that leads into something big, and they stop 2,000 people from getting bombed by airplanes.
My point is right now.
Does that? But what I'm saying is, at that point, does the listening in on the phone calls, the monitoring the emails and things like that, at that point, that's still an invasion. It may be your privacy because you may only be acquaintances with one person, but you can bet your ass that they're going to be following and listening to some of your phone calls.
But at that point, there is a verifiable threat. By them going around listening to everybody's conversation, there isn't. What you're saying is apples and oranges. And I'll tell you why. There's a verifiable threat against whomever, whatever entity, as opposed to us having a conversation and the government listening to it. There's no suspicion between you and I conversation. They don't have a right to listen to that. Now, if they've been tipped off and they get the appropriate warrant to do that, to me, that's miles worth of difference.
So even though you would not be directly involved, you would more or less be an acquaintance of someone. At that point, you would be okay with them listening to your personal conversations because of the safety issue.
If it's a verifiable threat,
You can make anything verifiable.
I think what Scott's trying to say is
make it a I can talk tonight. I can really verifiable threat by a physical person who might have infiltrated it. Let's just, for discussion's sake, we'll say it's a militia group.
Okay.
They have a verifiable
Which are
threat.
legal, by the way.
I understand that, but it's the easiest thing to, since it's been so bastardized by Hollywood and what have you. It's the easiest thing for a discussion point for people to understand.
Mm-hmm.
If that's been infiltrated by, let's say, an FBI agent, and there are verifiable threats, 10,000 bags of fertilizer, drums there.
Yeah.
To me, that's enough.
By the way, that's a lot of crap.
It's like, ooh, sometimes I feel like that. There's enough of a verifiable threat for them to move it up the chain. In no shape or form did they tap someone's phone just searching for information. That's my point. That's why, to me, it's different.
So with what you know about the Patriot Act, do you support that, or
My civil liberties are more important than that.
Okay.
There's other means, I feel, especially in this day and age, with the satellite imagery and all that stuff, to find out what
that's
you're
a
looking for.
violation of your privacy. If you're within some distance, that's surveillance. If you're within distance of some kind of cell,
I'm better
activity or
with
something like
surveillance because if you're not doing anything wrong, which everybody says, if you're not doing anything wrong, what does it matter?
Right.
Well, that's easily pliable there.
Right.
I mean, just because I'm not doing anything wrong doesn't give anybody the right to listen to my conversation.
So you're okay with being surveilled, just not listened to if it's for the greater good.
If they're looking at me, they're not tapping into my phone calls, talking to my buddy about what we did the night before. That's none of their business. The airspace is not my personal freedom, my personal space.
Yeah.
So to speak. I mean, if you can pinpoint a satellite image of a camp somewhere, why do you need what I'm talking about? I'm just talking technology-wise today. There's many other ways that you can do it outside of a wiretap. You don't need to listen to my conversation.
Let's make it a little wider than that, though. Let's say that you are at the bank, okay, or these things that they used to have called the mall, open air malls or something. I know, right? Let's say that you're some there, and I mean, some of these, cells, threats, whatever you want to call them, they're not necessarily.
And by the way, I'm okay with cameras in banks, obviously, for specific.
Right. So my question to you is, it doesn't always take place in like a camp, in the middle of the
No, it does. But like I
that.
said, I use that specifically for conversational purposes because people can see that enough and they can pop that in.
Right, but I'm talking about a more open area type of situation? Like, would you have a problem with being surveilled? Because chances are, if they're doing video surveillance or doing some kind of audio surveillance, maybe they're recording your open air conversations. The technology is there to do that. Are you okay with that, or are you not okay with that?
Has there been someone saying, "Watch out for this guy"?
The guy may be sitting 50 feet away from you while you're sitting there with your kids enjoying your McDonald's or something like that. But because they're watching him, they're going to be watching people around him also, because they're not stupid. People who are
to me, that's a gray area.
Okay.
And I only say that because if they're keying in on someone who's been deemed a threat, you don't know what's going on around them. So the initial area around the person, they have the capability to listen to everything, white noise, what have you, going around.
Right. And public domain is a little different.
It is.
I mean, that's different. Let's be clear on that. Public domain, listening to someone in the public and even taking portraits or pictures or videos of someone in public is a little different than listening to your phone.
I mean, but let's use your photography. If you take a picture of someone, you have to get their release.
Not the intended subject.
Right. If they're not the intended subject, you have to get a release to display their image.
It again, kind of a gray area on that.
Okay, let's just say, for the sake of conversation, 7.5 times out of 10, you would say you would.
Right.
How is that any different than listening to something? I think that's less invasive than someone listening to your conversation.
I would agree with that.
Okay.
I would agree with that. I guess my question overall, though, and I guess maybe you've answered it. I'm just not. Sorry, Mick. We're not going to put Trisha back on about peeing on stuff.
Where do you draw the line?
Where do I draw the line?
Are you open to the government listening to your private conversations?
I'm one of those people that I don't have anything to hide. So
it doesn't matter. But to DJ's point, it becomes a slippery slope. If you're okay with that, you're going to start chipping away more.
It does. It does. And I understand that. And that's not to say, first of all, I shouldn't be breaking the law. Have I broke the law in the past? Never. But I mean, just I'm one of those people that if it's for the betterment of other people and the safety of other people, I don't necessarily have a problem with it. Now, where I have a problem with it is if something is brought back later on and I was not the intended target. Let's say that I'm talking with someone.
But you've given them the okay to do it in the first place, though.
Well, I haven't given them the okay. You asked if I was okay with it or not. Because according to our Constitution and in the laws that we're governed by, with the exception of the Patriot Act, then they don't have a right to use anything that would incriminate me in something other than what they are trying to establish.
Let me ask this question.
Yes.
Say, for example, you forgot to claim something on your taxes.
Okay.
And they're listening to your conversations, and you had a conversation with someone, and you just hadn't gotten around to it yet. Say, hey, I forgot to do this. I did. And they hear it.
Right.
And they all flag these conversations by keywords, what have you. And if for some reason it's ended up in the IRS and they audit you, I'm getting there, I just haven't done it yet. That's not right.
No, I don't think that is right, and that's not what I'm saying.
No, but I'm trying to explain how the slope works.
I understand what you're saying, and I agree that there is a very, very slippery slope when it comes to that. But if I'm just having a conversation with you on the phone and I say something about my taxes, and then next thing you know, I've got, IRS Bill, your Uncle Sam knocking on my door, wanting to talk to me about my taxes, I do not support.
Right.
I
just want you to be aware of saying something is okay now.
It's not just me I don't have a problem with it. It's anybody I don't have a problem with.
Saying something's okay now. They're like, okay, well, they were okay with that. Let's try this and see if we can, government doesn't, to me, government anymore doesn't give two brass rips about the people that they're supposed to serve. They're worried about money and power. That's it.
Yeah, I think that that has a lot to do.
Go ahead. Your thought. I didn't mean to cut you off earlier.
Oh no, I agree with you. No, I mean that's exactly. It becomes a slippery slope whenever they say, "Oh, hey, whatever." What you were saying was, I'm not doing anything illegal, so I don't have anything to worry about. What happens whenever they change their mind about certain things, that you like to do, and that becomes illegal, and you don't support that?
So let me throw a bit of a wrench in your plans there, okay? And let me ask you let's say you and I are having a conversation, and I tell you, hey man, I got some pictures I need to show you. I'd like to show you, but I can't send them to you, or whatever. Matter of fact, I need you to come over to my house and see them, okay? And someone picks that up on the internet or on their listening devices that they're filtering everything, and that kind of piques someone's interest. And so they say, hey, we might have some kind of illicit activity going on here that could be pornographic or child pornographic or something like that. So now they start targeting in on my phone calls. And for some reason, they start listening because they think that there's the possibility there, or somebody in general or whatever, and all of a sudden they uncover a huge child pedophilia ring. The thousands of kids that were saved by listening to those conversations.
This is going to sound horrible, but they did not have a right in the beginning to listen to that conversation. In my view, I'm sorry if that's wrong.
No, it's not right or wrong. I mean, it's your opinion.
Well, I mean, the extreme you took it makes it sound like I'm okay with it, which is far from the case.
The common sense of today, man, and
there's no common sense today.
Exactly. With what I'm saying is, with Scott saying, I agree with Scott whenever he says, they're not worth these days, So if someone comes up for the greater good, just any kind of greater good, like, oh, we think there might be ties to this, there might be ties to that. We're trying to help. It's 9.9 times out of 10 that's not the case.
You take your greater good on down the road.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, that's a great point and an interesting point, and I'm happy to hear it. And folks, it's really one of those things that you'll find that while I don't support listening in on conversations or things like that, sometimes I personally think that the greater good can be had from that. It's not right, wrong, or indifferent. It's just my opinion. And, and sometimes Mac and I will have differences of opinions, and we would love to hear what you guys.
Are we shouting down at each other?
No,
it's simple.
And this is the kind of conversation we encourage you to have. Even later on.
I can turn my chair around for this one.
Yeah, I mean, even later on down the week, if you're watching this podcast, open up the dialogue. We will respond throughout the week because we'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions on this.
Absolutely. But let's get down to real quick here because I know we're running long.
Yeah.
Civil rights versus personal rights versus special rights. What do you consider special rights?
I consider special rights when you put a small group of people's rights above those of the general public and above those that are legally granted to them, and you make them the exception to the rule, and that other people have to abide by those and give up their own rights. That's what I consider special rights.
Now, is that something that you agree with?
I do not agree with special rights.
Personal rights. One's endowed by the Constitution.
Yes.
As I said before, your God-given rights, you believe in those.
Correct.
Civil rights. Societal rights? Is that what you're speaking of there?
Well, civil rights are based on what our Constitution or our laws and bylaws state are our rights. Those are our civil rights. I think a lot of people have had their civil rights violated. I think we're making progress towards correcting those, but I think we're starting to walk a very fine line from civil rights to special rights. And I think that if you endanger somebody else because you're giving special rights to somebody else or whatever, then that's where you're walking a very slippery slope.
Now, I read special rights, and the two that stuck out when I read this were affirmative action and hate crimes.
Okay.
Aren't crimes committed because you hate the person? Or you hate what they stand for, or you hate their societal status?
Not necessarily. And I think when you look at a hate crime, I think people tend to lump hate crimes into black on white hate crimes
or gay.
Or right, homosexual on, heterosexual hate crimes. I really think that the word hate crime needs to be defined as a hate crime regardless of who it's perpetrated against or
So the
from.
penalty should not be any stiffer.
It should not be any stiffer and it should not be any less. I think the penalty for any type of crime that violates someone else or whatever should be the same whether you're black, white,
Because you can't
or red, or whatever.
define intent unless the person specifically says it.
Right, which is why we have these laws.
Right.
These laws that we have state what is okay and what is not okay within a civilized society. And I think that what we're finding more and more of is that people are saying that my rights to do this are much more important than your rights
Now let me ask you this.
established.
Because as you like to throw wrenches, I have a little ratchet I'm going to throw in there.
Sure.
If someone specifically says, I beat him up because he's gay.
Okay.
Should there be a more of a sentence because of that? Or should the sentence be the same as someone who beat up Billy Joe Jim Bob at the bar?
That sentence should be the same. And here's why. Because it was a violation against another human being.
Mm-hmm.
It was a violation of their physical right to life. Their physical right to, if you're black or gay or white, it doesn't matter. If you
You're
assault
human.
somebody, you're human. If you assault somebody, you should receive the same penalty that you did, regardless of whether they were gay, straight, or not.
Okay. Now, if someone says I specifically did it because he was gay, you don't believe there should be more of a an outcry, I guess, from a legal standpoint. Now, societal, it's going to be an outcry.
Right. So from a legal standpoint, it should be prosecuted as a human on human, aggression is how it should be dealt with. I think that one of the problems that we're having, can you throw Trisha's comment up there? I really think that we need to look at each other more as humans and get rid of these stupid ass labels that we have on everybody. Now, if someone says, here's what the problem I think is going on, is you're going lighter on some people on the punishment and you're going heavier on other people. And in my opinion, that dehumanizes the person that is either getting the lighter sentence or it dehumanizes the person that is getting the heavier sentence.
For example, people that are in for murder for less time than someone who has a marijuana conviction.
Right. Two completely different crimes. Here's what I'm saying.
One is not.
Here's what I'm saying. If a man murders a man, or a woman murders a woman, or a person murders a person, it should be tried blindly. It should not be tried based on the habit of not regulating ourselves and blaming things on the way we were brought up or the community that I was brought up in. If you commit a crime, the punishment should be the same across the board. I don't care. I mean, and I say it because I was not wealthy growing up. I went through some pretty serious crap growing up. You were not wealthy growing up, But if I get into an altercation with a man and he dies, I should be tried for manslaughter regardless of what color he is. If someone, if a minority person gets in an altercation with someone else and it winds up being murdered, they should be tried the same as another human being, are my thoughts.
Are being told to preach. Alan, what do you think?
I agree.
He's like, I wasn't paying attention.
I'm all here, guys. No, I feel like the intention about a crime doesn't really matter to, it can matter to a certain extent, but to give someone a longer prison sentence because the person they assaulted was gay, or because they didn't like him because he was gay, I think it comes down to just he did a crime and it falls under this book in this, minimum sentencing and his record and everything like that. Those are things you should look at when you're sentencing someone, not,
Well, would you also look at the situation leading up to it?
If it was antagonized?
Right.
Yeah, those are things that you should take into consideration within the legal process.
Right, and that's why I bring that up because, you have murder. You can pile charges on top of it to make the sentence longer.
Right.
It was aggravated. The person did nothing. They were just out of nowhere, just beat up because of who they were.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to define a hate crime as that to start racking on charges on this stuff.
Right.
I mean, there are sentencing guidelines. There are charges that should take care of that when in and of itself.
The problem is that with crime, when you start giving levels of crime, when you start giving, I hate to use the word excuses, but when you start giving emotions
You
to crimes,
can't.
but
put
they
emotion.
do.
I know, but
they do. And my thought process here is when you start giving levels of emotions and you start looking at, well, this person grew up poor, they didn't know what to do or whatever, so
You're
they
giving
went
them
out and
excuses.
robbed a bank.
Right.
And while they robbed the bank, someone got shot.
Right.
Well, now what you're doing is
If you wouldn't put them in the situation, if they wouldn't put themselves in the situation, that person would still be alive.
right.
So
Now you will get the argument where people say, well, they couldn't help the situation.
Sure, they can.
Personally, that's a bunch of horse shit.
I agree.
I mean, is on my opinion of that. Because we are all capable of making,
logical
decisions.
Well, unless you're strung out.
And if you're strung out, then that's a different case. If you're strung out, which is a whole other show,
Right.
if you're strung out, then at that point, I would be in favor of getting them the help that they get. And if they can't get better, then you do have to remove them from society, not just for their safety, but for the safety of
Which
others.
is why we have the plea deals and all that stuff.
Right. I mean, I'm a big believer in the third capital punishment guy. We've gone over that before, because of the value of human life. But I really do think that we need to stop taking the emotional part of the crime and start looking more at what the crime was itself. If there's a chance for rehabilitation, obviously go for it.
You can take the emotion out of it, but you can also look at the events leading up to it.
Right. If someone's being antagonized, I would agree with that. If someone's being antagonized and they've been put in a position of self-defense, not murder, but self-defense.
If you try walking away and then they pull you back, well, then it becomes self-defense.
Right. Then it becomes self-defense.
And again, there's a whole other set of laws for that.
Right. So
we're almost an hour and a half, man.
I know we are.
My kid's got school tomorrow.
Yeah.
Hate to cut off this this riveting conversation. But, school is a little more important than us tackling the world's problems.
Well, this week anyway. Maybe we'll tackle the world's problems next week.
Are we going to jump in the phone booth like Superman? Oh, God,
You don't want anyone to spread. No, you don't want to see any of that. So, Scott, I appreciate your conversation. And again, the biggest thing that we want everyone to get from this is that
you can have a civil conversation and not yell over each other.
Right. You can have a conversation, and that's really what this world needs more of. We need conversations, and we need less anger, and we need less people, saying, I'm right, you're wrong, deal with it.
What wasn't that a Dionne Warwick song? Or was that Diana Ross? What the world needs now
What's that?
is love, sweet love. Okay, I'll stop.
Thank you.
Shut up.
So we hope you guys have enjoyed the show tonight. I know that we're ending on kind of a weird point.
Yes.
Let's see.
Your cat rights are being violated.
I think your cat's rights are being unviolated.
Your personal bubble has been violated.
Your cat is being monitored for domestic terrorism.
And the looks they give you sometimes, I would agree with that.
Right. Sometimes I think they are the monitors, But, anyway, thank you for joining us tonight on the show. We appreciate
thanks,
it.
Mom.
We do appreciate the feedback. Give it to us, throughout the week also, and
Excuse me?
we'll not give it to us.
Oh, thank you.
Give us the feedback. And if you enjoyed the show tonight, share it on Facebook, share it on YouTube, invite your friends to come
Give
along.
us some more heated topics.
Yeah, we want to talk about what you want to talk about. We've always showed you that. But other than that, we're going to continue to talk about things that are kind of close and dear to us and things that we want to spark conversation.
And to really show people that you can have logical, common sense
Civil conversations.
disagreements and still keep it civil.
Yeah.
Now, when the camera comes off, I'm going to jack you in the jaw, but that's a different story.
So when I show up to work tomorrow with a black eye, you guys will know that I was assaulted and my civil rights were violated by this human being right over here.
I'm gonna baseball bat violation.
All right. DJ Whiteout, any closing thoughts?
Please don't kill my daddy.
Gentlemen,
What's that?
that's about it for me.
All right. Well, with that, why don't you take us out of here? Thank
Check
you
us
guys
out.
for checking us out tonight.
Appreciate it.